Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be explaining or answering some questions, important questions, and it's going to be a brutal truth about moving to Finland, about staying in Finland. For anyone interested in moving to Finland, I want to hear the reality of us here living in Finland. So if you're interested, please sit and enjoy the questions and answers I'm going to give. The answers I'm going to give in these questions are my 100% opinion. It might be different from other people, but having lived in Finland for almost 7 years, this is my own observation, my own opinion, my own stand. So let's go. Number one question was or is, what are the competitive advantages of Finland with the rest of the world? It's a tricky question. Competitive advantage of living in Finland. Guys, before I dive into the great news or juicy part of Finland, let me clarify one thing. Finland is not an English-speaking country. Now, a non-English speaking country has its own downside, as in a lot of downside. Finland, the official language of Finland is Finnish and then Swedish. You have two official languages. Depending on the area you find yourself, either you learn the Finnish or you learn the Swedish, or you learn both, depending also on your career paths. So having stated this, that doesn't mean that people here in Finland don't speak English. But if you want to work in Finland, they have to learn the Finnish or the Swedish. That's have been cleared, right? So let me tell you the competitive advantage of living in Finland or Finland with the rest of the world. Number one of that is the education system. Finland have the world-class education system from 0 to PhD. Now, before I even dive into the education system, first of all, as you get pregnant in Finland, you and your partner have 9 months maternity leave, or your partner, or the 9-month maternity leave can be shared within the couples. Now, when your baby starts the daycare, you don't need to worry about what your baby eats. The daycare usually start some daycare start by 6 a.m. Some start by 6:30. You don't need to think about what your baby is going to eat. They're going to give the baby breakfast, lunch, and brunch. That is, baby going to eat 3 times a day before he or she goes home. And then you might be thinking, that must be expensive. No, my darling, it's not expensive. Depending on how much you earn and then how much your partner earns, this is what determines your payment, or the payments you pay every month for your baby. So most students don't even pay anything. If you are studying for the next 3 years or 4 years, you might not even pay anything in the daycare, while your child is enjoying all the benefits. You heard me right. Aside that, when your baby goes out of the daycare, from that preschool till PhD level, it is totally free. So compared to other parts of the world, I know friends in UK, I know people in US, they are always complaining because one parent have to be home for the next, sometimes even 10 years, because you give birth this year and then after 2 years you give birth again, and things like that. So you have to be home for the baby to get to the preschool because you can't afford the kindergarten school fees. It's usually very expensive in US, especially in US, and also very expensive in other parts of the world. I don't want to mention other countries, okay? Let's focus on Finland. So this is one of the advantage. And Finland is family friendly. I always call it family friendly. They always consider, okay, what works for this family, we can, is very flexible when it comes to family. The kind of shifts you can take, who will take the care of the baby at home, those are very, very flexible in Finland. So this is what puts Finland an edge, or gives Finland an edge over other countries. Another advantage, competitive advantage, is the technology and innovation. Are you aware that Finland is one of the top notch when it comes to technology. In fact, the Nokia that you have been using or you used so many years ago is from Finland. I remember my first Nokia. If I can throw it from heaven to the earth, pick it up, Nokia is still working. This how um this how the country, in terms of technology, they are very strong. They have produced a lot of gadgets. But because Finland doesn't, maybe the adverts is not that there, so people don't really know where those technologies are coming from. It's Finland. And this 5G that during the COVID, people are shouting 5G, 5G. 5G started in Finland. You want to hear more? Have more. They have stable economy, great government, no corruption. No corruption. I remember, was it few 2 years ago or thereabouts, when the Prime Minister of Finland took few people for coffee. They spent just 150 euro. She has to give accounts of of just that little change. That's to show you how transparent the country is. I quite remember a friend of ours, a friend of my family. He saw something wrong in his one particular place. We usually go during the summer. He just wrote on Facebook that this place needs to be, a little bit amendment in that road. And guess what? After 2 or 3 days, the road was amended. Hey, where I'm coming from. Okay, don't talk about that. So that is one advantage of living in Finland. The work life with family is very, very flexible. Finland has happened to be the country where you can easily, negotiate how you want to work because of a family, or your wife has to work because of a family. Aside though, are you aware that, let me not even talk about the work life, the Kela. Kela is the social security system of Finland. This Kela is like another god in Finland. If you're unemployed, you get unemployed benefits. For those in maternity, 9-month maternity, that is where you get your maternity leave benefit from. When your child turns from 1 month, he's being paid from that 1 month till, is it 17 years or 18? Yeah, 17 years, I think. These are benefits that people love about Finland. All right, so a lot, I can go on and on and on about the competitive advantage of Finland. All right, the next question, so let me not make this video so long. All right, the next question is that what is the prospect or potential when securing job and starting a family? Now, this one is where I'm going to talk about the brutal truths of living in Finland. The brutal truths. Now, in securing jobs outside Finland can be a little bit difficult. One of the reason being that the language. You might be thinking you're very qualified in your field. My brother or my sister, when you come to Finland, you see that your qualification or you being a boss can, no matter how you feel qualified, when you enter the job market in Finland or that office you feel you can work, because of the language, you cannot really communicate efficiently, and then you start looking like you're stupid or something like that. Now, they will always use language as a barrier or as a limitation for international people. There's no country specific, but if you're a Nigerian, always they use language. And what the downside of language is that when you are above certain age, that language you'll be thinking, can you still learn language? My brother, it's not for you to just say good morning to someone. It's for you to communicate with the language at work, for them to understand you. It takes years. Sometimes some people can take more than 2 years, 3 years. In fact, the integration plan or program is 3 years for you to really like speak the language. And that's 3 years. They don't expect you to work, just go to the language school. And then during the summer, you can use what you've learned to work. Now, if you are more than 30, you're thinking about the language, we're also thinking about how to pay your bills, right? So this things also put a barrier or stumbling block to your language learning. Unlike children, if you bring your child there within 6 months, your child is already playing with their friends, their Finnish friends. They communicate, and you'd be very surprised. I know of a little boy that came the same year with me, the same month. Within 5 months, the way he was speaking the Swedish language, I was like, what? I was still in like the basic level when he was already speaking, playing with his friends, communicating so well. Being an adult and learning language, you have other things to talk about it. You have your parent back home, you have people that are even lying that they need money and things like that. Because of course you're in Finland, so you have all the money in the world. That what they feel. That what they even know. What no matter how you want to convince them, they will not even accept it. So these are the brutal truths about Finland. And then, aside studying in Finland, to me the best route in coming to Finland or moving to Finland is studying. Finnish people love you to study for them to integrate you into the system. But bringing you that have already studied is a bit difficult. Most times, if you study within Europe, then it's not so easy, but then it's easier to penetrate into the Finnish workforce than for you coming from either Asia or Africa. It's really difficult, both in technology. You might be thinking, but all about technology, you don't really need language. Yeah, you might not really need the language, but you need to communicate with your colleagues, right? That is where the problem comes. Sometimes they might be talking about certain technology technologies in the workplace, and you are totally not. You don't know those technology. You know them in English language, so it becomes like just like that. So they prefer that you come here, study it. So most people, even the nursing student, I've seen nurses from Asia, from Africa. They come here again to study nursing. You see that they are in terms of practicals, they are very good, but because of the language, they have to study all over again. That is why they brought about top up nursing, for people that have already studied nursing and just want to integrate into the system. So the language is usually the barrier when it comes to working in Finland. But starting a family, if you come as a student and want to start a family, it's very easy for you to bring your spouse, very easy for you to bring your family, provided you have the fund. And it's easy for you to, as a student, to get a part-time, there's no job that is discriminated here in Finland. A cleaner, a banker, doctor, a lawyer, they're all the same. There's no job discrimination. So if you find yourself cleaning, you do it with pride, because a doctor can quit the job tomorrow and say, I just want to clean for 2 years and come back to the medical field. It happens here in Finland. So yeah, so there's no job discrimination. So if you come here as a student and then you're planning to bring your family, it's very, very easy. But getting a job from back home, from Africa or from Asia, and then coming, coming as is still very possible, but it's very slim. It's very slim. They prefer to train their IT, they prefer to train their nurses, their health care personnel, they prefer to train them here in Finland. So that is the disadvantage of living in Finland. And then the growth, actually, the career growth is another problem. Finnish culture, let me put that way, don't emphasize on the growth or career growth. For some reason, I don't know. That is my own opinion. I've seen those in the nursing that have been there doing the same thing for the past 20 years. They'll be there till they retire. They don't aspire to, take on some positions. The reason being that they said there's no much difference in terms of the salary, and then you have so much work attached to the new level and the little pay, things like that. It might be true. Most times it's foreigners that love to, to aspire higher. Most times, I'm not saying the Finnish people don't aspire higher, but they have their reservations when it comes to, aspiring higher. So and then another down part is if you want to work in your field of study, and that field of study is not IT, that field of study is not in health, then there is a little problem, because most people here that are not into health and not into IT, you might not really get to work in your field. You might get work, of course. You get work in other companies, but for you to work in your field, for instance, those in business, it's very difficult for you to see an Asian in the bank or in some key positions in marketing, finance, things like that. In health wise, it's easier for you to see nurses from all over the world, working in the hospitals. You easily see doctors from, black doctors, Asian doctors, But in terms of business and other aspects of careers, is a bit difficult. That's what I've seen for the past 7 years, almost 7 years I've been in Finland. And I remember a student asked a question, threw that question to a teacher, and the teacher was a bit nervous because she couldn't even answer. She didn't know the reason why there are no other countries working in some key positions here in Finland. So if you want to move to Finland, so my advice is that if you want to move to Finland, I want to live a very conservative life, just live your low-key life with your family, is very, it's very achievable. But if you want to aspire high, you want to get to certain positions, then possibly you come to Finland and then you move out of Finland, because they have their own limitations. So this is what I don't want to go into these two questions I've answered. I hope I've answered it properly. And if you find this video very useful, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the Shiglo channel and turn on the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. If you have questions about Finland, studying, please write them in the comment section. And with this, I say bye and see you in my other brutal truth video.